What do you think are some important qualities of a film?
Important qualities of a film? Well, I think that film's primary purpose, I mean, the reason that film is as popular as it is for entertainment value. So I think on a very basic level, a film has to entertain us. If it's not entertaining on some level, whether it's funny, scary, or whatever, it's not going to attract an audience or hold their interest. But beyond that, I think that the great films in the history of filmmaking have been films that have been full of meaning on some level. You know, in the same way that great literature challenges us to think about things differently or look at our own lives in a different way. I think films, great films, do the same sort of thing. They challenge us to think about a topic or to look at ourselves in the characters of that film and to think differently about our world or to perceive things in a different way. And so when you watch a great film, it makes you think, it makes you want to talk about it, and it makes you perhaps reevaluate how you look at what was presented there in the context of your own life.
Okay, that pretty much answered my next question, is why do you think it's important for movies to have meaning? So, cool. Thanks. Directors commonly find inspiration from other movies so that they can form their new ideas for their own films.
Sure.
What movies do you think are the most inspirational and why?
The most inspirational for the viewers, or?
I guess just for making new movies, like.
Well, I mean, I can only say, it's hard to say because there's so many films. I can tell you that the major directors of our time have had an influence on other directors. When you look at someone like Stanley Kubrick, and you can see shades of his influence on other directors. In the course that I teach, for example, we watch The Shining by Kubrick, and then look at Fargo by the Coen brothers, and there are all kinds of interesting connections there and really apparent influences. Obviously, you always see allusions to, references to, etc. Some of the more classic films, and certainly if a director is directing a film within a particular genre, they oftentimes will allude to or obviously exhibit influences of other films that are within that kind of genre, that were maybe cornerstones of that genre or defining films, things like that. Coppola has had a big influence on other directors as well. As far as films that are inspirational to audiences, it just really depends, on the film and the audience. I mean, you think of a movie like Shawshank Redemption, a lot of people find that to be a pretty inspirational film. Films that give people hope or leave them with a positive feeling, I guess, would be inspirational to them.
Okay, that's interesting. What are some of your favorite movies?
Gosh, there's so many. I love. I do love Shawshank Redemption. I just mentioned that, but
yeah, that's one of mine.
Gosh, it kind of depends on the genre. I love almost all the films by the Coen brothers are just wonderful. I think they might be my current favorite directors. I just think they do amazing work in all of their films, and they manage to do very different films all the time. Their films aren't all the same. They kind of have their own mark a little bit on them, but they're all very different. I really appreciated No Country for Old Men. I thought that was a brilliant film.
Yeah, I did one of my blog posts on that.
Nice. The films I do in my class, American Beauty is a brilliant film. Fargo, The Shining, Apocalypse Now, are just unbelievable movies. Psycho, Hitchcock, gosh, any Hitchcock film really is amazing.
Yeah.
Some more recent films, I guess. The King's Speech was wonderful. I can't even. Argo was an interesting film last year. It just really depends. I love scary movies too, so just
Me too.
you know, there's a lot.
What do you think is your favorite movie era? Even though there's excellent movies from all eras.
Man. I'm not that well versed in older films. I just haven't had the exposure to it. You know, I didn't really watch them growing up. You know, films like Citizen Kane, obviously I teach that, and that's pretty well known. And you know, a few here and there, some of the film noirs like Maltese Falcon and The Big Sleep and things like that, I'm familiar with. But you know, I don't have a wide range of those older films. I think, I mean, I think the more contemporary films, really, I'd say, you know, and only because it was in the time when I was primarily watching, you know, movies would be, you know, 90s and 2000s, the more modern era. Although I do have a real appreciation for a lot of films from the 70s, 60s, and 70s. I'm just thinking about, like, you know, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and, well, a number, I guess, you know, well, The Shining was into the 80s, but, you know, Stand By Me was very early 80s, and so, you know, 70s into the 80s as well, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.